Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel.
This is Raynell here with I Love North Tulsa. We're here at the library and we have an opportunity to interview Susan Taylor, one of the first editors and chiefs of X magazine. We're really excited about this opportunity. We're really looking to get some information and wisdom from her. So
You're so beautiful. I mean, you're so beautiful and spiritual through physically, as I'm sure you stay out of it. Fans, you know, it's like a photo shoot. I spent all my life, 10 years before I became editor, and she was standing behind photographers, watching models and whispering to them, but I need so-and-so to make sure she does so-and-so. So anyway, be quiet and listen.
I think the first time I saw you was on PBS, and you were a bald-headed, beautiful girl. Yes, and I just graduated. You're my first interview as well. So there's one thing that I felt that you give to people when you meet Susan Taylor. You meet someone who's very warm and open. And a lot of people that are celebrities are not like that. And you don't feel that you count or that you're a special person. And I felt that the times that I had met you. And your book about love, I wanted to ask you one thing because of what's happening in our communities that I never thought would happen. There's a lot of things that are going on as far as violence with the children. What one thing would you say we should do to engender love in our communities?
What one thing? You know, I think it's a perfect moment to lift up the name of the award that I'm here to receive today, the Sankofa Award. Sankofa, as we know, is an Akan word that comes from the Akan people of Ghana. And it means that you have to look back in order to understand who you are, what you've come from, in order to know where you are and how you can build forward. And I think that our history, unknown to us, most of us, not lifted up in our schools throughout the nation, is a critical piece of our coming to revere ourselves, have absolute passion and respect for what our ancestors withstood, to allow where we are and how we are today to be. And so we are talking about love, and we could easily say, you know, how do we begin to love ourselves? It's by love one another, it's through loving ourselves. And when I think about what our ancestors and our own families, you know, people we knew, my grandmother, probably yours, and yours, what they withstood, what they endured, for us to have freedoms today that we just take for granted, a new regard, a new passion for the gift of life emerges within us, and self-care is very much what I'm passionate about, because I don't believe that you can give what you don't have. And when we learn how to really love ourselves, learn to love what God made us just as we are, take care of that gift, that we begin to give from the overflow and ensure others. So we're in our right minds when we're taking care of us. So we're not envious of people. If we are, it's only for a moment. You know, we self-correct. Self-awareness is what emerges when we decide that we're going to be the best person that we can possibly be. Let me see how I can say that better. Let me see how I can be a little kinder to my mate, to my child. Let me see how I can be a little more assiduous about the things I've taken on from my community and really deliver on those things. And with self-awareness, everything in our lives gets better because we're getting better. We're getting better and better, and we're loving more deeply and more fully.
Okay, I wanted to talk to you about your mentorship program. that's something that's near and dear to my heart. I benefited from a mentor growing up, and I want to know what sparked your mentorship program. Was that something that you had growing up, a mentor, or what caused you to want to be involved in that and creating that?
In my family, I had mentors. So I was probably like you, a fortunate one. When I look outside of my family at the lives of the young ones, sort of the ones who I grew up with in Harlem, they were not so fortunate. Growing up in single-parent households as heroin was then coming, just sweeping through our community, running roughshod and putting out the lights in their parents' eyes, my friends' parents' eyes, who were falling victim to heroin. But what gave birth to the National Kids Mentoring Movement was really Katrina, when New Orleans just was drowned, and knowing the history that Essence has there, and the Essence Music Festival, and the amount of money that we take out of that city every year, over $125 million, more now than it's grown. Not that we take it all out, that's what is made in the city. Most of it is left there at the hotels and the restaurants and so forth and so on. So many lives were lost. So many of the people who we have worked with over the years in producing the music festival lost their homes, lost family members. We saw children whose parents left the city and didn't return. Children who were sleeping from pillar to post, who were begging for just a moment on somebody's sofa. And I said to the Essence family, we are not going back to New Orleans and just do a phenomenal party with there was all the spirituality and community engagement as a part of it. But I said we have to go deeper. We have to have a party with a deeper purpose. And I paused and asked myself, what could we give to our community that's coming together, hundreds of thousands of people from all over the country, that will make a real difference in the life of our young? And it didn't take long to just know mentoring. That's what you should do. Ask people to go home, go back to their respective cities, and get engaged with our under-resourced young people. And I naively thought that would be enough, just putting before them, you know, the celebrities who were at the festival and the crisis in the community. And I didn't realize that structure would need to be put in place. And a group of them came and met with me at Essence and said, you have to really create a model for this. And I said, that's a problem, because I know how to make magazines, but I don't know anything about the nonprofit world. But I'll tell you something that I learned from Coretta Scott King. Because she shared with me that,
Taylor, I had a question. With the current, it seems, cult of celebrity that we have in our nation, cult of celebrity, how do we, because everyone wants to be on a reality show and everyone wants to be famous, how do we scream and shout loud enough to our young people past that influence to encourage them to really dig deep down inside and figure out what their God-given purpose and intent is in this world, so that they can actually give something to the world while they are here?
We have an assignment for you youngins that answers your question. I don't know how you tolerate the lyrics and the images that you do, that are then inculcating in you that you're a thug, that you're, you know, you can't achieve anything, that you should really look like a gangster, walk like a gangster, speak like one, not be a high achiever, always be, you know, rolling with your head to the side, your elocution, and God knows that black men and black women have been known to be phenomenal speakers, you know, that all of that is history and not one that you're interested in. So I think that young people need to send a different message, because media speaks more loudly than mom, right? So that's why this shift has taken place. So when you stop buying and downloading those images and lyrics that defile black womanhood, that negate black malehood, that tell you all those negative things about yourself, and uplift, you know, the rappers and singers that are really saying something, or saying something, you know, that is worthy of us, then the shift will take place. Other than that, otherwise, it's not going to happen. My generation stopped a war, began to love being black, and that shift happened in a short period of time. Why? Because we had, I just was with him the other night, Barry Gordy putting out that music, telling James Brown singing that we were black and we were proud, and, you know, Curtis Mayfield telling us about ourselves, Marvin Gaye, trying to lift our consciousness, raise our consciousness so that we would stop wars. This is what we were dancing to. We might have been shaking our funky thing, but it was also, we had a balance. What you all have today is, it's just gratuitous sex, it's gangsterism that is really leading to the destruction of our children and our community, and we're asking for the youngins to step up. A very simple thing that can happen is for each of our churches just to take it on. We are not going to continue to buy your products. I'm talking about advertiser, until you stop playing that music for our babies before they go to school. We want balance, we want music, you know, rap music that tells us about the beauty of who we are. And it's out there. There are people making that, you know, Tribe Called Quest, you know, Common, and others. But they get no play. We have to ensure that they get play. And when you put that in young people's minds, you will see the shift begin to happen.
Time.
It's a new
Thank you.
dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me.